All right, everybody. Good Saturday morning. Hope you're doing okay. Before we get into tomorrow's game against Arizona, I want to reiterate real quick that I will be going live in a few hours to stream the Huskies Buffaloes game. Second to last game of the season for the Huskies in all likelihood. So come by the channel. We'll be streaming for probably about 3.5 to 4 hours. And you can watch a Huskies fan watch the Huskies game, and you can watch along with me, and we'll have fun with it. So hopefully see you guys there. Okay, so Seahawks are looking down the barrel of a pretty big game tomorrow. It's not do or die yet, but we're approaching that point very quickly. And more than just mathematical playoff odds, more than just mathematically being eliminated or mathematically being alive, at a certain point you would think that the team might just become emotionally drained. They look at their record, they look at the teams that are ahead of them, and they just go, ugh. I mean, God, even if we dig ourselves out of this hole, who gives a crap? Because we're gonna have to work so hard to do it. We're gonna have nothing left for the end anyway. Like, at a certain point, you can't play the mathematically alive game. At some point, you have to actually win a game or impress somebody or do something worth real praise. So this Sunday, tomorrow afternoon, good opportunity to do both of those things. Opportunity to get a win and opportunity to look pretty good in the process against a credible Cardinals team. Now, doing this video is going to be kind of hard because we don't know who the opposing quarterback is going to be. Usually, that's not the case. And there's a huge difference between Kyler Murray and Colt McCoy. The challenge that we face with one quarterback versus the other quarterback is pretty large. So, I don't know exactly how I'm going to approach this pregame video, but it's harder to know exactly what to expect from Arizona. So let's just get into it, I guess, starting with the offense. I think most eyes will be on the offense because of what they did last week, and Wilson's trying to find his way back into the offense and find his way back into a rhythm, and et cetera, et cetera. But obviously the defense has a lot of sway in whether or not we have a chance to win this game. So, the Seahawks offense, it's really, really unfortunate and maybe even a little ironic that we find ourselves in this situation where Arizona's main weakness so far this year has been against the run. They have been run on a few times this year. It seems like you can grind the ball a little bit on the ground. And here we are in week 10 with no real running backs. No running backs to which to grind. We have Alex Collins, who he's good, but he's got a bad hip, and he's not really a bell cow running back necessarily anyway, I don't think. I don't view him as that 25 carry a game guy at this point in his career. And then you have Travis Homer, who is a pure third down running back. And you have a quarterback who may not be able to play from under center and may not be able to hand the ball off. And by the way, let me just point this out. If I know that, and you know that, then everybody knows it, including the opposing defense. So don't really know why the coaching staff felt the need to say this week after the Packers game that Wilson didn't hand the ball off very much because they didn't want to, because they felt like it would mess up his finger. Yeah, that may have been an oversight on the part of the coaching staff. But yeah, that puts us in a very awkward situation, and it leaves us without, ironically, one of the best ways to attack this Cardinals team. And I'm president of the Running Backs Don't Matter Club. I'm president of the Running the Ball Doesn't Matter as Much as It Used to Club, but here we are, possibly needing to run the ball to keep our season alive, and we've got nothing to do it with. So, one possible approach to this game, attacking this Cardinals defense, would be to decide, screw it, we need to put DJ Dallas in there. And look, I understand that DJ Dallas is probably not a very good blocker, which is why he's not getting playing time right now. But for him to not get a single snap last week against the Packers in a game where you had to evenly split snaps between Travis Homer and Alex Collins with a bad hip, if you think that little of DJ Dallas, you should have cut him before the season started and gotten somebody else. Anybody else. Because think about that for a second, guys. Carson is out. Penny can't get on the field because he's that worthless. And you really decide that, nah, DJ Dallas doesn't need a snap in this game. No, we'll keep throwing Collins with a bad hip and Travis Homer out there over and over and over again rather than put DJ out there. So one possible route would be to just say, you know what, we need to see what DJ can do. Put him out there, let him get some action, and see what happens. Or you could continue to try to get along the way you did against Green Bay, which that assumes a few things. That assumes that Wilson's finger is still not right and he still can't hand the ball off. That may be true. We don't know if his finger's better than it was last week. It could be worse for all we know. He may not be comfortable playing under center. He may not be comfortable handing the ball off 30, 40 times in a game. So the main thing I can think of would be utilize your tight ends. And that is fortunately one thing, really the only thing that worked well against the Packers last week. Gerald Everett had his best game as a Seahawk by a pretty wide margin, 63 yards. And Will Dissly made a big play as well. It was the best game of the season for the tight ends probably. And the only other game that even came close was week 1 against Indy. So Arizona's defense in recent years has been kind of known for not guarding tight ends. They get gutted by tight ends. I remember a few years ago, Will Dissly, coming off a pretty major injury at that point and a couple of weeks away from suffering another one, had a big game against them. And in general, if you go back through recent history, the Cardinals have given up a lot of stuff to opposing tight ends. So given the fact that that's one of the few things that worked well for the Seahawks against the Packers last week, and given the fact that, well, I don't want to say that Arizona still has those same exact problems. They've been better against tight ends so far this year, but Kittle still got 100 yards on him, and I think some of those structural issues in their defense may still exist. It might be a good idea to try to probe at that. So I would like to see the tight ends used more. If Wilson's having accuracy issues, then going to tight ends on shorter passes might be a good idea anyway. It's probably a better idea than him throwing up Hail Marys to Lockett 50 yards down the field. So those are my two main ideas for this game, but honestly, it's thin. Especially when you don't know what you're getting from your quarterback. Can he throw the ball? Can he throw it accurately? Can he hand the ball off? Can he run under center? Can he use his legs? There's a lot we don't know about Wilson, and that makes trying to break this stuff down frustrating. But assuming that we're able to get competent play from Wilson, which we didn't really get against the Packers, those would be my main ideas. Either trust DJ Dallas to get some snaps in there, get the ball in his hands a few times, and be productive, and try to run the ball against a less than great run defense, or try to hit the tight ends up. That's most of what I have for this offense. So looking at our defense, which there's a lot we don't know because, again, we don't know what quarterback we're playing, but let's try. So we know we're not getting DeAndre Hopkins, which is a big positive, especially because all of our cornerbacks are tiny right now. They're all sub 6 feet. However, Arizona, being the kind of offense that they are, they're probably still going to try to spread you out and get 4 or 5 receivers on the field at a time. So, should be getting a good dose of A.J. Green, should be seeing some Christian Kirk. I think Rondell Moore's healthy right now. If he is, you're probably going to see him out there. Do they still have Andy Isabella? Like whoever it is, they're going to get them out there on the field. That's what they like to do. And I think that's the case whether or not they have Kyler Murray. Although it'll be the case more so with Kyler. So this is a game, and I've said this a few times already this week, but this is a game where I really miss Marquise Blair. Not because he's great, not even because he's good, but at least he had some ability to make plays and did have some positive metrics in his favor so far this year, because you're going to need to put a lot of your DBs on the field this week, which is also why you really need Jamal Adams and DJ Reed to be able to play. If one of those two guys can't go, that's crushing against this team particularly. Like the Packers, they have a good offense, but they're not going to test the back end of your defensive back depth the way the Cardinals will, because the Cardinals are going to put more players out there and they're going to pepper the ball everywhere. They're going to go, a couple passes to this guy, a couple passes to that guy. Oh, there's Zach Ertz. There's Rondell Moore. There's AJ Green. And if you have a weakness in that secondary, they're going to find it, they're going to exploit it, and they're going to try to win the game off of that weakness. So I really wish we had Marquise Blair. Right now, you're looking at a lot of Ugo Amadi, who is playing okay, and you're looking at a lot of Ryan Neal, who is also playing pretty well, I think. I'm pretty happy with Neal, but I wish we had a little bit more in this game. I wish we had another defensive back we could reliably put on the field, like John Reed, Nigel Warrior, Blessuan Austin. We haven't really seen those guys yet this year, so I don't know what they got. I don't know if we can rely on them or not. So really wish we had more defensive backs in this game. Just one more guy who I liked. Because, in fairness, the defensive back situation has gotten a lot better lately. Trey Brown, DJ Reed playing good. Ugo and Ryan Neal playing fine. And the safeties are playing really well overall, Diggs and Adams. But wish we had one more guy we could trot out there right now. I have a feeling Arizona is going to make us miss Blair by the end of that game. Other than that, obviously, we're on pins and needles waiting for this QB decision. And I've heard rumors that the Cardinals may bench Murray if the Packers lose and play him if the Packers win. I don't know if that's true or not. If it is true, I think it's a terrible idea, because that implies you're going to not base your decision on whether or not he's ready to play or not. But if that's the case, then we probably are looking at Kyler Murray. But all the indicators I've gotten from the Cardinals this week indicate that he's not going to play. So if he does play, then he represents a very unique challenge for this defensive front. I've got eyes on Jordan Brooks, because one of the reasons why you maybe drafted Jordan Brooks a couple years ago was to deal with Kyler Murray in the future. And I think that kind of thinking is very flawed, and I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff. But now that we're here in this game against Kyler Murray, I want to see Jordan Brooks make some plays on him, be an effective QB spy on him, and not let his legs be the reason why you lose this game. And if you get Colt McCoy, then that reduces the problem significantly. You can drop more players into coverage. I'm wondering if maybe this could be the game that sparks Carlos Dunlap, because last year Dunlap did have a monster game against the Cardinals. It was something that sparked our defense the whole rest of the season. And if he can find some sign of life here in the second half of the year, then it doesn't make up for the first half, but I'll take what I can get at this point. And if Colt McCoy does play, I think we'll find a way to a win. I still don't have a lot of faith in this offense for a myriad of reasons, but I think the offense will be better than they were against Green Bay and be good enough to win. If Kyler goes, and if Kyler can go at full speed, then I'm less optimistic. But let me close on this point. The measure of a head coach in the NFL in some ways is finding a way to win some games that you're not really supposed to win. Like this, looking at this game externally, you're playing an 8-2 Cardinals team. You're 3-6. Your QB still got a bad finger. There's a huge limitation on this offense right now. There are some problems. Maybe you're not supposed to really win this game. That's honestly debatable, because Arizona kind of has it worse. But either way, regardless of any of that, as a good head coach in the NFL, you got to find a way to do something special via strategy or motivation or something to win these games that maybe you're not supposed to win. And when Wilson was out, this team came close to winning a few games against good teams, maybe games that you quote-unquote shouldn't have won. but we still haven't won that game yet. So I'm really looking at Pete Carroll to motivate the guys and have some kind of plan for this game tomorrow. It feels like this team has kind of gotten away from being able to do that. The last few seasons, it seems like we win the games we should win, and sometimes we'll win a game against a team that feels like an even match. But that whole concept of getting up for a big game and finding a way to a win that you maybe shouldn't get and overcoming all these limitations, it doesn't seem like we're getting those wins a whole heck of a lot lately. I'm not seeing them. 2018, Week 16 against the Chiefs, maybe, is the last time I can think of a game where I went into thinking like, I don't know what we do here. I got a bad feeling about this, and then the team finds a way. That might be the last time. I'd have to search my memory banks a little bit more, maybe. But if Pete Carroll really is a good head coach, if he really is worth $12 million, then at a certain point you got to find a way to push the right buttons to get a win that maybe you shouldn't get. And I freely admit going into this game tomorrow that this may very well be a game that you shouldn't win, just like the Packers was, just like the Steelers was, just like the Saints was. But got to find a way. You got to find a way to overcome those things. I think good head coaches are going to be able to find a way to win those games sometimes. They don't just lay down for every game they're supposed to lose and then make excuses after the game as to why they lost as if it's not their fault. So hopefully he's got the right buttons to push. This team should be desperate. This team should be aware of the fact that they are closing in on win or die territory. So hopefully they don't want to die. I'll see you guys later today for the Huskies stream. I may have another Seahawks video up my sleeve later, but see you guys when I see you guys. Peace out. Go Hawks.